VP of Advanced Planning here at Emeritus. Our team is, I can't remember how many, I think we're six strong. And I'm part of the, what they call now we call the JD consultants. And I hate it that we call it that, but there's myself, there's a young associate by the name of Keely Jo French, just graduated from the University of Nebraska College of Law, passed the bar. She's part of that the consultant side. Many of you will probably have known names like Kyle Runyon or Jacob Messick. A new member to the case design side is also a gentleman by the name of Noel Nicholson. He also has his law degree as well. So part of our aim here today is to talk to you a little bit. Hey, Lazo, talk to you a little bit about life insurance and a qualified plan, specifically what we call Prosperity Plus. And Prosperity Plus is our sort of marketing name for life insurance and a qualified plan, or if we get more specific, something we call fully insured 412(e)(3) plans. All right. So, and 412(e)(3) is the tax code section that creates and gives us the rules, for these plans. I'm not here to make you, frankly, I know we're training on Prosperity Plus, but I'm not here to make you a Prosperity Plus expert. That's not what I want to do today. What I want to do is to make you aware of where Prosperity Plus fits, who you should be thinking about, and then the material that you have available to you to say, hey, Troy, I think I may have a case. How do I know, and what do I do? What steps should I take? Right. That's the goal for at least in the 45 minutes that that have been allotted, is to not make you an expert, not make you so you can talk about the incidental benefit rules and all the other stuff that egghead law degrees like we think about and we kind of know a little bit about. That's not my goal. My goal is for you, when you're out talking to specifically business owners, and we'll talk about why business owners. When you're out talking to business owners, that this may be a solve for some common business owner problems. Okay, so that's my goal. All right, so I got a lot of stuff. I got a hodgepodge of training material that I sort of brought up and have in place, and that we can sort of take a look at. So first thing I want you to look at is understand that Prosperity Plus is what we call one of our complete solutions. Let me know when you guys are seeing the screen. Okay. All right. So Prosperity Plus is what we call is part of one of our complete solutions. And what do I mean when I say complete solutions? It is one of our sort of flagship concepts. I think there's 5 of them. It's one of our flagship concepts that we try to put all the material, or at least give you the ability to have all the material that you need to be able to put them in place. Complete solutions are harder. They're harder because they're usually a multi-step process. But what our hope is that if we put things in place, make sure you have the reference material, make sure that you have the client material, that you have client videos, that you have all those things in place, including post-case administration. Oftentimes, there's a TPA or some type of ongoing administration is needed. We try to build that into one of our complete solutions. So with Prosperity Plus being one of our complete solutions, you're going to find that you have the material to learn, to be able to teach the other trusted advisor, accountant, or lawyer in that business owner's life. And then also we're going to put in place the things that you need to be able to complete the case and to maintain the case ongoing for you and your client. Okay. So what you see before you is something that we, this is actually some of our complete solutions material that is that is a client flyer. It's a client flyer for for Prosperity Plus. And you can see right here is don't let your prosperity fall, don't let your prosperity fall, fall short. And the idea is that this is a piece that could be printed out and could be presented to the business owner in a business meeting. So you want to sort of introduce the concept. Here's the client flyer specifically for specifically for Prosperity Plus. Now, what is it? What should I be thinking about when you're talking to your business owners? Right, a lot of business owners fall into this category. They are, they have this situation where they may have a 401k plan in place. They may have some profit sharing in place, and all of those things they've got to include everyone because they're qualified plans, and you have to include everyone with Prosperity Plus. I should state that in some form. But they may have a profit sharing plan. They may have a 401k. And if you've ever talked to that business owner about their ability to save for retirement, like their employees, oftentimes the business owner finds themselves in a situation that they're not able to save for the retirement that they want because they are connected with their employees as it relates to a qualified plan. In other words, if you've ever dealt with 401k, a profit sharing plan, any sort of qualified plan, everyone has to be included, or at least afforded the opportunity to be included. But then also that business owner's ability to save the additional dollars that they need to have the retirement that they desire gets capped. And oftentimes what ends up happening, the business owner ends up getting a check back from their 401k. Why? Because they put in too much money in relation to their employees. We call it the retirement gap. And let me just paint the picture for you. You have a business owner.
Hold on a second, Roy. Hey, Rosaline, can you unmute? We can hear you.
Sorry.
All right.
So if you have a business owner, let's say that business owner makes $100,000. I don't care about the business right now, but let's say that business owner makes $100,000, right? And the business owner makes 100. You got other people. You got 4 or 5 employees. They make certainly less than the business owner, and in a lot of cases, they make $40,000-$50,000, right? When that company enters into a 401k profit sharing, some type of defined contribution plan, what ends up happening? The amount of money that the business owner can contribute is relatively equal to the employees in that particular company. Why? $100,000. I can put the dollars in, and we don't have to worry about it being top heavy. We don't have to worry about the IRS coming back and saying, hey, you put too much money in. This is a top heavy plan. In order to correct, you've got to take money back out. And that happens to business owners. At $100,000 it doesn't necessarily work that way. The other problem that the business owner finds is look, let's say standard sort of financial planning says, hey, when I retire, I want to replace 80% of my 80% of my income. Sometimes you'll see people say, no, I want all of it. But if you look at sort of standard financial planning, they'll say, a good replacement rate for your income is 80%. In other words, if I make $100,000, man, when I retire, I want to replace 80% of my income through my retirement funds. So I need to be able to generate, $80,000 a year from whatever my retirement nest egg is. That's that 80% replacement rate. Now at $100,000, 80% is $80,000. But what happens when the business owner makes $200,000? What happens if the business owner makes $300,000? What happens if the business owner makes $400,000? And by the way, 200, 300, or 400,000, and the retirement income limits, or excuse me, the retirement contribution limits, they don't change. It's still the same number, regardless of if I make 100, 200, 300, or $400,000. Now, if I have to replace 80% of my income and I'm the business owner and I make $300,000, those traditional defined contribution limits present a problem. And that's the retirement gap that's represented here. That gray area that you see, that's the retirement gap. That is the gap between replace as part of my overall income for retirement and what I have the ability to actually save for. Right? So the business owner is presented with this problem. I make enough money that I want to replace 80%, but I don't have the tools to be able to save the dollars that I need to replace that 80% because of my income. Okay? So, sorry about that. So, so what do we do? And that's where a defined benefit pension plan comes in, comes into play, right? And what we have with a defined benefit pension plan is let me just go back. What we have with a defined benefit pension plan is the ability for that business owner to save a lot of money, a lot more than whatever the defined contribution limits are. And right now, I think the defined contribution says like a 401k with employer contributions and employee contributions and employer match. I think it's like $66,000 or $68,000 in total that anyone can put in. That's the max that anyone can put in, regardless if they make 300,000 or they make 30,000. The max that anyone can put in between employee contributions and employer matching is like $68,000. That's it. It's topped off. No matter how much you make, it's $68,000. What if you were a business owner and you had the ability to be able to put more than that in and have more of that benefit going specifically for you? Because in a defined contribution example, 68,000 is 68,000 is 68,000. Again, there's no difference between the business owner and the employee. What if there could be a difference to help bridge that retirement gap? That's what we're talking about and thinking about when we're thinking about defined benefit pension plans. And we're going to talk about those in relation to, what could I do? How could I structure it? So here's the backside of the client piece. Gives you a little bit of basically of how it works. You have a business. The business starts to creates a qualified plan. It includes the business owner. It includes the employees on the census. It includes all of the employees in the company. Not everyone in the company has to or will be required to be on the defined benefit pension plan, but they will be required to have something. Maybe it's an additional profit sharing plan. If they don't have a 401k in place, they'll put a 401k in place. Either way, this is a tool to help bridge that retirement gap that I just talked about. So that's number one, bridging the retirement gap. Number two thing that we run into quite a bit is if you talk to business owners, oftentimes I'm trying to find this. There we go. One of the things that a business owner will talk about quite a bit is, man, I'm getting killed on taxes. Anybody hear that? So first there's the retirement gap. I want to be able to save for my retirement. It's actually probably in reverse. They probably talk about taxes and then think about retirement. But one of the things that the business owner will also talk about is, I'm getting killed on taxes. Is there a way for me to generate a large tax deduction? I'm in farming country, right? I'm out here in the Midwest. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska. You go about 20 miles west of here, and it turns into farmland really quick. And year after year, time after time, tax year after tax year, oftentimes you'll have accountants that will tell their farmer clients, hey, you need to go out and buy a piece of machinery so you can get a tax deduction. Why? Because either you're going to either pay the taxes or you can at least have something for your, for the taxes that that you're going to end up paying. And ideally, we're going to reduce those taxes because of the machinery, and we can deduct it and all those other things. So oftentimes the business owner is looking for deductions, and the larger the better, because they don't want to pay taxes. Enter life insurance in the qualified plan or Prosperity Plus is how you should be thinking. So it's two things. It's that, are they in need or do they want a large tax deduction? And two, is there sort of the retirement gap that they that they need to overcome, right? And so when we think about what the business owner looks like, let me do it this way. Here, let me do it. I'll drop the notes down, just make it bigger. Okay, so let's do it this way because I want to bounce around this presentation. This is way too big for 45 minutes, and I just want to hit some highlights so you have an understanding of who you should be looking about and who you should be looking for and thinking about. So who's the client? When I'm doing if I'm thinking that this may even be a client, how do I know? Think about this. You want older business owner, right? You want fewer employees. When I say fewer, I'm thinking less than 10 on the census. Usually when I tell people, I tell people to think about a dentist office, doctor's office, things like that, where you have the dentist or dentist that make, I don't know, $250,000, $300,000. You'll have a hygienist that makes 60, 70, 80,000, and then you'll have a bunch of frontline folks that's somewhere in the in the 40, 50, maybe you get someone in the front line in the 60 range, but there's about 7 to 10 total employees on the census, and the lesser the better when it comes to the ideal client for Prosperity Plus. So older business, fewer employees, they need additional savings. They need to overcome that retirement gap that we talked about. They want to replace 80% of their income, and frankly, they're like most business owners and haven't done enough to save for that ultimate replacement rate, whatever it may be, as they move into retirement. Now, key to the business. Can't have one good year. Heck, you can't even have 2 good years. You have to have multiple good years, a consistent track record of good cash flow, because I won't bury the lead on you with Prosperity Plus. This is something that the business commits to for at a minimum 5 years. And if you go less than 5 years, all sorts of tax headaches, the IRS makes it really, really hard. But if you have a business that has sufficient cash flow for that's consistently has sufficient cash flow, they're going to be a candidate for Prosperity Plus. They're going to need to be insurable. Prosperity Plus is 412E3, like I mentioned in the opening. 412E3, another way you may hear it described as, is a fully insured defined benefit pension. And all that means is that when a client sits down and says, this is the benefit that I want to solve for, now what am I going to, what do we use for an investment vehicle to get us there? A fully insured plan, guess what? Uses life insurance products to guarantee that benefit payout at retirement. And when I say life insurance products, I mean it uses an annuity. It can use an annuity, 100% of an annuity, or it can use, it could use 50% of an annuity, up to 50% of annuity, and up to 50% of life insurance. So we see life insurance used as the vehicle to generate the benefit that's ultimately going to be paid out in a defined benefit pension plan, in this case, a fully insured plan. So that's why you need to be insurable. Otherwise, you could still just use the annuity, but the insurance typically generates a larger tax deduction and there's some benefits to having the insurance be a part of the defined benefit plan. And then they have possible transfer tax concerns. Now, this is all in flux because of the election, and we don't know what's going to happen with taxes and all those other things. But there is concern with transferring taxes and having some flexibility to be able to use the pension benefit to facilitate an easier transfer of wealth using trusts and things like that. That one's probably beyond the scope of where we're going to get to today, but that's generally like what business owners should I be thinking about? Older, smaller census, fewer employees, they have a retirement need, they want to overcome that retirement gap, they're consistently successful, and they're insurable. That's the kind of business owner that you should be thinking about. And then I would also say they're kind of in need of a tax deduction, and they go, I'm getting killed on taxes. This may be a concept that you want to talk about and think about introducing. So the concern, right? In the first few years, I've reinvested everything back in my business. Like business owners get on this cycle. They invest in business, they grow business, they invest in business, they grow, work, invest. They grow, work, invest. So they work the business, they grow the business, they invest back into the business. And then they do that for years and years and years to grow their business. But part of that, in doing that, one of the things that they neglect is the retirement piece. I want to get out. And so usually they end up having a compressed time. I got 5, 7, maybe 10 years, and I want to get out, but I haven't done anything other than grow my business. And that's great. You can still use the business. You could sell it. You could do whatever. But man, that puts all your eggs in one basket. If you will. And some business owners, sort of at the end, they're like, I need wealth outside of my business, right? So they invest back in their business, and I'm now reaping the rewards of the sacrifice. But I'm so far behind in saving for retirement, I worry I can't catch up. That's the concern. And we see that with other business owners. Here's another view of that retirement gap, and this better illustrates, this better illustrates when I talk about retirement gap. When I make $100,000, I can defer like 20 or so, 20.5% of my, of my income. That's the employee contribution limit. As I make more money, the amount that I can defer that allows me to get to the employee deferral number, the maximum employee deferral number, that number goes down, right? So at 100,000, I can defer up to 20%. That's a big number. If I could do that all the way through, wouldn't have a retirement problem. But as I make more money, I can defer less, and I'm trying to replace more. That's another illustration of the retirement gap that I showed in the emeritus pieces. All right, so here's some additional concerns. Some I've already talked about. How can I generate larger tax deductions for the business? How can I protect the business? Protect my business assets from creditors, right? Pensions are protected. Qualified plans are often protected. How do I provide equal inheritance to my children if they have different levels of interest in the business? Might be a way. What will my business be worth when I retire? So when I retire, am I going to get? I've worked, grow, invest, and I've grown the business. So what's my business going to be worth when I retire? Am I going to be able to get top dollar, or will I be forced to work longer than I really want to? These are all, these are all concerns. Will my business have to be sold to pay estate taxes, right? Again, that's in flux, depending on the election and kind of where you fall. But at the end of the day, these are all questions that if you don't ask your business owner clients, if you haven't been asking, or if you're not sure what the answer is for your business owner clients, boy, you got a great opportunity for some additional questions to those business owner clients. All right. So let's talk about sort of the strategy, and then I want to get into the pieces. And again, I don't want to make you the expert. I want you to be thinking about, what do I say to my business owner clients the next time we talk, especially at this time of year. And then I want to make sure that I've been talking sort of nonstop. So then I want to make sure that what questions do you have specifically, and in the time that that we have. So the strategy: qualified plans, life insurance, and tax deductions. So let's talk about the defined benefit plans. Here's what a defined benefit plan is. And I know, Alonzo, you have an idea, and I'm not sure how many other people. It's a pension plan. It is that predetermined benefit. Like, it's not like I put money in and then whatever it grows to, and that's what you got. No, it's a predetermined benefit amount, and then we fund on a guaranteed basis to get to that predetermined amount. So that if it's $100,000 a year, that's the predetermined benefit that we're solving for, and that we're going to grow the life insurance, and we're going to fund to be able to grow the life insurance and the annuity to be able to generate the cash that we need to pay that predetermined benefit for the rest of the client's life. That's what we're talking about. The contributions are very based on performance, the performance of life insurance, the performance of the annuity. We're specifically talking 412(b)(3). There is something called like a cash balance plan, or maybe a split funded DB plan where we have investments in. But for many of you, like the ability to do it with guaranteed life products, the annuity and the life insurance, that has a lot of appeal to folks. Potential very large contributions. Oftentimes in these cases, you'll find in these cases that you're talking minimum six-figure contributions, six-figure deductions as well. And so that all becomes tax deductible. So now, when if you're used to being in farmland, instead of going out and buying a new center pivot or tractor or whatever. By the way, I didn't know any of this stuff, but before I lived in Nebraska, I grew up in New Jersey. But center pivots and combines and tractors and all the other stuff, why not be able to talk about large deductions, six-figure deductions, save for retirement, and cut out Uncle Sam along the way as best we can. And then the biggest thing is the investment risk is assumed by the employer, because it's the employer saying, look, we're going to go through this predetermined benefit. This is what it's going to take to get there, and we're promising to get you there. That's the benefit of a defined benefit pension plan, which is different from your 401k, right? Where we just put money in, and whatever it grows to, it grows to. There's no promise of growth at all, quite frankly, in a defined contribution or 401k, a 401k profit sharing plan. There's no promise of growth with a defined benefit plan. And in this case, using life insurance vehicles, 412(b)(3), there is a promise, there is a guarantee of growth and benefits towards that predetermined benefit. That's what you get in defined benefit plans, and why people like, okay, I tell me more, right? Because everything has been at risk for many business owners for a long period of time. Having something guaranteed, having something that is funding for that business owner's retirement, is something that for the right business, again, older, 50 plus, that the idea of starting to save for retirement becomes very appealing. Okay, so that's defined benefit plan. Some folks will ask, why consider life insurance in your retirement plan? And what we talk about is some of the things that I've leveraged pre-tax funds to close the retirement gap. Talk about that. Tax deductions. Hey, why do I need a combine when I can get a large tax deduction and save for retirement? Right? That's why. But here's some other things. It allows, having life insurance in your defined benefit plan allows things to self-complete. And what do I mean by that? Many of you I know have talked about self-completion with life insurance in general. Same basic principle when we talk about a defined benefit plan. With a defined benefit plan, self-completing means that if I have life insurance inside of my qualified plan, the self-completing nature means that if I'm 3 years in and I know that I want to retire in 10 and something happens to me, the life insurance, I should say the pure life insurance death benefit, basically the death benefit minus any cash value, that number is paid out income tax free to your beneficiaries. So normally, if I don't work for the entire time, of the pension, right? That's it. It's a smaller benefit number, right? What happens if something happens to me in year 3 and it's a regular old defined contribution plan? You just got whatever's there. You didn't have, like, you weren't afforded the ability for it to grow and put more money in. When you have life insurance and a qualified plan and a defined benefit plan, and something happens, and something happens, the pure life insurance death benefit, the death benefit minus the cash value, that number is still paid out income tax free. That allows those hopes, those dreams, those wishes to be paid out and allows them to self-complete. You have estate planning applications where I could use a trust. I could move that life insurance out of the qualified plan into a trust, and to help me with estate planning issues. We also can substitute business value. If I'm going to sell my business, I can think about using my defined benefit pension plan values as a substitute value for the business. It gives me flexibility as I'm negotiating. Okay, so those are reasons why you would want to consider life insurance in retirement, because that's certainly a question that a business owner sort of may ask. Now, we can talk about numbers and all these other things, and I could show you numbers, but I'm running out of time, and I want to make sure that I talk about. I want to give you an example of trying to think of.
Well, Troy, we did a lot 1 hour, so I don't know.
You allotted an hour? Okay, because I had
12:15 to 1:15.
Okay, no, my thing said 45 minutes, so hour's good.
Yes.
Okay, so let's jump into just a quick sort of case study. The numbers, because the numbers can be overwhelming, but let's just take a look and see. I'll do these two, and then I'll get to sort of our materials. So let's just jump into a case study. Richard and Jane, they're business owners. They're both 52. They're both active in the business. They have an existing profit sharing plan where they maximize their contributions. And this is from 2021. We need to update the numbers, but they do $64,000 for Richard, $15,000 for Jane. Their goal is to increase their overall deductions, minimize funding costs for employees. That's a fancy way of saying, look, we're the business owners, we're the primary owners. We want to increase overall deductions, minimize funding costs for employees. A fancy way of saying, look, we know we have to include the employees, but man, I want to be selfish right now because we have script and saved and done all the things that we needed to do to be successful. I want as much of that benefit to go to me as the business owner as possible. All right. So this is kind of how we think about it, right? So they have Richard, Jane, owner, spouse. They have an employee that's 50, an employee 40, and an employee that's 30. These are their annual salaries, right? Right here. Richard's paying himself $250. Jane is working. She's 25, and it's 50, 40, 30, right? So you can see the census. Their normal retirement age is 62. So they got 10 years to retirement, and their the income tax rate is 42, 37, and state. Kind of pick your state. The rate is about 42%. All right. So if they do just 401k, right? Just 401k profit sharing. This is what they're doing. They have an annual salary of 250,000. They're putting in essentially the max contribution, 64,500. And Jane, they're putting in the max, not the max contribution, but for her, that number is a little, is smaller because of her, is because of her because of her salary. So their total contribution for the profit sharing plan between Richard, the owner, and her spouse, she's an owner as well, is, what is that, 93%? And they're making these contributions to, they're making these employer contributions for the employees. So when we say minimize employee costs, this is what we're saying. This is what business owners think about when they think about this concept. They think about, this is the all about me sale. I have scrimped and saved, and when I do a 401k, or when I do a profit sharing plan, I've got to do certain things for the employer and for the employees as well as the employer. So this is actually probably a good percentage. They want as much as that percentage going to to them as possible and minimize that employee cost. All right. So now, what happens? This is a this is a cash balance plan. I'll get to the to the insurance plan, but this is an idea. This is an example of what happens if I do a cash balance. Like what happens if I combine the profit sharing plan and the cash balance plan, right? And in a cash balance plan, I can have life insurance in there as well. I just can't, I can have life insurance in there, but I also can have investments, right? And so some advisors like the idea of combining investments and insurance. The main thing I want to show you is this. Look at the difference when I talk about combining the 401k profit sharing plan and the cash balance plan. Yes, there's insurance involved, and in this case, the annual insurance premium for Richard and this cash balance plan is $124,000. For Jane, remember her profit sharing contribution was $15,000. Now she has another, you add another $14,000. So now we went from 75% of the total contribution to now 86% is for Richard, but that total contribution is now $333,000, just a little over that. So, and by the way, that's all tax deductible. This 38,000, all tax deductible. So in this case, what Richard and Jane are seeing is, I went from, with my small census, I can now put in a lot of money saving towards my retirement, specifically a pension plan benefit. I have life insurance, and the bulk of that contribution is going to me and my spouse. 96, almost 97% of the contribution is going to me and my spouse. This is what business owners think about. This is what makes it selfish, and it's the all about me sale, but they are looking to save for themselves. Remember, they're 10 years away from retirement and really haven't done anything. All right, so let's take a look. Here's the profit sharing plan numbers. You can see the contributions. Here is 401k and the cash balance plan numbers. When we're talking about, hey, I want to save, for a benefit. So when you talk about, I need more, like I need a deduction, is there anything out there from a deduction, perspective? This is what business owners are some of them know about it, very few, but this is what they're thinking. Can I get a large tax deduction? And oh, by the way, if it makes sense, man, I'd love to be able to stick more money in and retire, or at least save for retirement. Give me options when I think about selling my business, leaving my business, whatever it may be. So, would you want to contribute $80,000 or $372,000 for my retirement benefit and to generate this large tax deduction. So take 42% of 372, and that's kind of what you've generated in terms of a tax deduction. Like you have, that's actual tax savings because this 372 is tax deductible, right? So that becomes, those become real numbers for folks. Okay. All right. So let's dive into, that's the split funded. I want to do fully insured. So fully insured is 412(e)(3, right? So same concept. Business owners thinking that the exact same way. I'm going to retire in 10 years. I'm going to use it in contribute, in combination with the profit sharing plan. I'm just going to use life insurance products to fund the retirement benefit. I'm going to use either an annuity, 100%, or up to 50% annuity, up to 50% life insurance, right? That's what we're talking about with a fully insured plan. So remember our folks, Richard and Jane, age 52, Jane 52, all looks the same. Remember that profit sharing plan? That all look the same. Oh, excuse me, that's that salary. Those all look the same. Remember, from a fully insured plan perspective, it looks a little bit different. So we're doing life insurance in this case. Life insurance on all of them. The annual life insurance premium is $160,000. We also are going to do the total contribution is $543,000. Did everyone think that we could do a NA qualified plan, that we would be able to do that much? For Jane, $17,000 for her insurance premium, total contribution, because we can only do up to 50% life. The rest is done in an annuity. So 543,000. 543,000, 60,000 for total employer contribution. Now you may look down here at these other employees and go 28,000, 35,000, 17,000 for a total of 687,000. But look at the total contribution. Almost, what is that? That's 90% or 89%. So for 89% of the total benefit of the total contribution, 687,000. No, 80. That's 88%. So for 88% of the total contribution of 687,000, that goes to me and my spouse. If you're Richard and Jane, it goes to me and my spouse. Plus, I have $3.4 million of death benefit that if something happens in year 2, largely gets paid out income tax free to my beneficiaries. My spouse Jane has $371,000. So for just under 90% of that 687,000, is it worth it to pick up the tax deduction, the additional death benefit, and saving towards retirement? That becomes the math that business owners do in their head when they're thinking about, does this make sense, right? Does it make sense to lay out these kind of dollars for this benefit? And at the end of the day, I mean, if the benefit is worth it to you, whatever that number is, it doesn't have to be. This is sort of max funded. It doesn't have to be this. They may pick a number and say, hey, I just want to pay myself $100,000 a year. Well, we can back into that number. And by the way, you may be asking, well, who does all of that? Like who does all of this math that can tell me combining a profit sharing plan and doing all this other stuff? Who does that? Well, I kind of buried the lead in that these plans, Prosperity Plus, is a TPA sale. It is a third-party administrator sale. In other words, the beauty of it for you is if you can have the conversation, if you can understand their needs, and understand that they are looking for large deductions, they usually haven't saved for retirement, and the thought of and presenting them with that with that likelihood of not being, not having the retirement dollars. They are looking for, what am I going to do with my business, and what does it mean, to have to work. They are looking for all those things. And if you can have those conversations and get them to like, hey, I want to know more, that's where TPAs come in. So we work with a couple of different TPAs. Let's see if I have this up. We work with a couple of different TPAs. One is called National Pension Partners. They are out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And then we work with our newest and latest TPA is a company called RMC CJA. They have offices, all over the country. And they are, and in both cases, the TPA is the one that will, once you get the census and an understanding of what they want in the census, they will run the illustration. They will get on the phone with you. They will get on the phone with you and the client to help walk them through. And in other words, you are not in it alone to have to learn all this, right? You are not in it alone to have to learn all this stuff. What you do have to do is have the relationship, be able to talk to the business owner about their needs, and then the TPA will help you sell the case, right? Help you sell the case, right? They will do all of the as you can imagine, they'll have to do all the administrative stuff. Like they'll have to file the form 5500. Anybody know how to do that? Anybody want to know how to do that? The answer is likely no, right? The TPA helps you with that. And because of that, the TPA will go on the application as part of a case split. Now, some of you may go, I'm not doing that. I'm telling you, if you like those numbers, if you liked the idea of large tax deductions, large insurance premium as part of that, you will happily put that TPA on the application so they can get paid and help you sell this case. Because this is a TPA sale. Because what ends up happening with the business owner is they will listen to you and they will go, I want to show my accountant. I want to talk to my accountant about it. And then now it's going to be the TPA and the accountant oftentimes having those conversations. And it's the accountant giving it the blessing. Yep, this makes sense. You should do that. And once that happens, it's all, everything starts to move forward at sort of warp speed. But make no mistake about it. More often than not, if you have the business owner is going to have that conversation with their accountant, which means you want someone to be able to speak that accountant's language, and that's the TPA. And that's why the TPA, in my opinion, goes on the app. And I would do it happily if I had anyone, anyone with this type of case, especially given the numbers that we're talking about from a life insurance premium perspective, from an annuity premium perspective, but then also just getting it done. They help you get it done, and they have a vested interest in helping you get it done and helping you maintain the record keeping to keep that business owner happy and refer you to other business owners. So where do I start, Troy? You have literally talked my ear off. I freely recognize that. So where do you start? First, an understanding. I would start with, here's the client piece. Understand the retirement gap. Understand what the business owner is going through. Understand the problems that the business owner faces that many people do not talk to them about. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, if I can get this out of my way, the next thing is here's the material that's available to you. Is this that's the checklist. Where is, I had this all ready to go. Oh, here it is. Here is also as part of this is called our white paper. So you want to read about it. By the way, you want to read about it. like if you happen to talk to your business owner about it, like, okay, Troy, they may be interested, but they said they want to go to their account. Now, now what I do? Enter the white paper. The white paper is our work product, talks about life insurance and qualified plan, all the things that I talked about, talks about Section 412(v)(3, all that's here. And in fact, when when your business owner says, "Hey, I want to go talk to my accountant," you go, "Great, give them this," and you give them the white paper. The white paper is intended for them to hand to their accountant, to hand to whoever's going to help vet this, vet this thing. It's a pretty, it's 4 pages. It's a pretty easy read for accountants, attorneys. And if you like that stuff and you want to know more, the white paper is there for you and should be very, very, we found it to be very, very helpful. That's available to you. You also have, so now they said, Troy, all right, so what do I need to get started? Here's what I'm going to tell you. You have, here's the Prosperity Plus Census. And by the way, Charles, you let me know if you want me to send you any of this stuff, all of it. You just let me know, and I'll go ahead and do that.
Yes, please. I definitely need it. Thank you.
Okay. So here is the Prosperity Plus census. Doesn't matter if you may not know what type of plan. It may be, heck, you might do a split funded DB plan. You might do a cash balance plan. You might do 412(v)(3). Beauty of it is this census allows you to gather your information. It allows you to gather information. I would read through it, make sure that you're asking the right questions. But this is a pretty straightforward, right? Kind of what their W-2 income, date of hire, like all those things. You fill this out with the as the employee census, and then you submit that to to advanced planning. You can see the email there. You could, don't you even dare. You can submit that to advanced planning, and we can start the process with the TPA, because that's how we would do it. We're going to start the process with a TPA. You choose which one. We can talk about the pros and cons of the of each TPA, but you're going to end up starting a case with with a TPA to get the illustration, so we can kind of see what those numbers look like. But we have the we have the census. We have the we have the flyer. A couple other things. Sometimes you just get asked questions. Sometimes you want to know a little bit more. Here you go. These are our frequently asked questions that we put together in relation to life insurance and the qualified plan. So as you get more into it, here's a good resource to answer the questions that, like, what happens when I go to take my, what happens with the life insurance when I go to retire? Can I roll that over? What happens if I die? How much of the death benefit is paid out? What, how much can I put in? Is there those sort of questions that will come up as you get into it? The frequently asked questions are put in place. I say that, but there's no substitution like learning. There's no substitution like going through a case to really sort of ramp up your learning. Yep, these all have ADV numbers. So this one is ADV 2092, and I'm going to send them all. I'll send all of this out, Alonzo. But this is ADV 2092, so you can just search that. The client flyer is ADV. What is it? It's ADV. It's on the front one. ADV 2093. The census is ADV 2149. So yeah, all of these things can be found on Producer Workbench. And then also we also have, because it is a stepped process. We sort of put that process down as best we can, right? Like, it doesn't always go this way, but a lot of times, especially the first one, these are the expectations, the expected steps. Here's phase one, the process and checklist, then plan setup and implementation, and then ongoing administration. kind of what you can expect when when you put a case in place, from prospecting a case, putting it in place, and ultimately maintaining that case. All of these things are available to you. Shoot. Uh-huh. Yes. Mm-hmm. It would be likely an addition to Alonzo. So like so you don't have to have either or. You can have both, right? And typically you would what the TPA does is whatever your existing 401k profit sharing plan is, they try to stack on the defined benefit plan so that it is an addition to. Typically, you're not just going away from the 401k or the defined contribution plan. Um, not to my knowledge. I'd have to. That's more of our retirement plans division. I mean that's more of a retirement plans division question. If we do, they would know. I can ask for you, Alonzo, and just for everyone's know, 401h is basically like tax qualified health benefits, right? Like so you're saving for health benefits like 401h. That's correct, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been around for it's been around for a while. And I can tell you, full disclosure, it used to be called 412I. So depending on how far you look back, probably over a decade now, you would see references to 412I. And like many things, there were some bad actors, and the reason why we have 412B3 and not 412I is because we now have a brand new section that sort of eliminates some of the things or most of the things that the bad actors were doing in relation to 412I. That's why it's 412E3 now. So it's been around for a while. Typically, I can tell you the things that give people pauses, and this is for defined benefit pension plans, regardless of 412E3, cash balance, split funded. Usually the hang up is consistently successful. Like understand that 5 years means 5 years. Like we got to be, so you don't tell me we're going to max fund it and you're going to do that for at least 5 years. You're likely not. So let's think about what we're really trying to fund for. So being consistently successful is really important. And then with 412E3, the deductions are usually larger, but that means that's also a larger, that's a larger commitment to contribution dollars that needs to be done for 5 years. Now, personally, from a 412(b)(3), because we use insurance plans, they're more balanced. Like the premium usually doesn't fluctuate much from year to year. Like with cash balance plans, split funded DB plans, where where there's investments, there's penalties if you do too well in investments. there's penalty, not penalties. The contribution is reduced if you do too well in investments, but it also works in the converse. If you don't do well enough in investments, you've got to put more in. So people, they don't necessarily like that fluctuation with cash balance plans, split funded DB plans. With 412(b)(3), it's because the annuity contribution is the same year after year. Essentially, the life insurance contribution is the same year after year. You get very little fluctuation between that cost, even though that cost is likely higher than cash balance or split funded DB plans. That's usually what we run into.
Hey Troy, question. Since this is a fully insured DB plan, what products are we wrapping this into?
You're using Access Whole Life. Typically, we're using Access Whole Life because the whole life generates a larger tax deduction, and then you're using the accumulation. Hold on, I always get this mixed up. Yeah, it has to be the accumulation product because we don't have because you're not putting an income rider on it. No, it's not that you can't. It's just that most people, they're looking for they love the guarantees and they want to take the uncertainty. Like you want to, if you're going to go life insurance, in most cases, people want to take the uncertainty off the table, like all the uncertainty off the table. And when I say it's guaranteed, the benefit is calculated on the guaranteed column of the whole life product. It's calculated on the guaranteed part of the annuity, right? Like that's how the benefits, calculated. And so like it is literally like you're literally saying like these are the numbers, right? These are the numbers and this is what it is. And there's really no fluctuation in that. There's no guessing in that, right? Like the guaranteed numbers are the guaranteed numbers. And you would have to agree, Alonzo, like when we're talking about a whole life, the guaranteed column in a whole life is much different than the guaranteed column in IUL or UL. Mm-hmm. So ESOPs are two different things. Typically, with an ESOP, first of all, you are probably looking at for an ESOP to make sense, you're probably looking at a business 10 million valuation. I mean, that's the numbers that I've heard. In fact, you're talking to Marshall and Stevens just a couple weeks ago. That's about what you're looking at in reality because ESOPs are so much more expensive. A 412(b)(3) plan is much less expensive than an ESOP that requires administrative work, that'll require administrative work, that'll require evaluation every year. So ESOPs, in my opinion, play more on the I'm selling my business side than a 412(b)(3). Not that a 412(b)(3) doesn't have application there, but an ESOP, most cases the ESOP is in place for that business owner to take some of their value off the table and take it now. And in other words, I'm going to sell part of my business now. You're going to do the ESOP. ESOP's going to pay me. Yep, it's the employees own it, but really it's the business owner taking some of their value off the table right now.
All right, I guess we can squeeze in one more question, Troy,
Sure.
From anybody else on the line. Rosalind, Suzette, Linda, Joe. Anybody has any questions, comments on that? We have to wrap up now. Troy, it was nice enough to go over, right? I think Liz had it scheduled for 45, but we had it for an hour. There was that one screen that you had, if you don't mind putting it back up, like what are we looking for? It was like an older cash flow. If you could put that screen back up, I'd like to take a picture of it, if you don't mind, because that's really
that was in the PowerPoint, I think.
Yeah, it was in a PowerPoint. And is that PowerPoint, is that something does this client approve we can use to do like a webinar?
It is. We have to redo it in a couple places to get the numbers up more up to date. So yeah, yes, it is approved. But we have to update the numbers.
But is that something you can send out, or
I can, but after we
well,
update the numbers though.
Yeah, this page, just hold on. I just want to take a picture of that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Troy. It's always a pleasure. Like Alonzo said, there's a few things, there's a few follow-ups, but I think this is great. We're looking for business owners that's the key word now, tax concerns, especially with business owners, tax concerns and cash flow and saving, and these are this screen right here, this is all the buzzwords. And I know if I look through my book of business, there's some, and this is also available for self-employed, right? You don't have to have you don't have to necessarily have 10 employees. You can be self-employed, or you
now,
like mom and pop can set this up for themselves.
Though is this is based off of W-2 income, right? So so it and an S corp that's paying themselves W-2 income, because K1 distributions, that's not W-2, right? So so you have to be. It's one of those things when when it talks about income or how you're structured, we probably should ask on the census, how do you pay yourself? Because all of your defined, like all of your 401k limits and how much I can contribute is all based off of W-2 income.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Troy. Yes, we have to definitely have you back. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. This is great. I appreciate it. Have a good one. All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Hey, hey, Alonzo, shoot me your questions. No. I mean, because I got it. Yeah. Okay, sound good. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Hopefully you heard everything that was being presented there. This was a sneak peek for a lot of my business owners. I wanted you guys to kind of see that because, there are options other than just the 401k. Like I said, like we were talking about, ESOPs, 412Es, 401Hs, and a few other options that we're talking about in regards to being a business owner and offering employee benefits, but also looking out for yourself, because yes, part of opening a business is to look out for the others, but a main crux of opening the business is to look out for you and yours and your family. So let's not act like that's not a major factor in the equation. And I think it's important to not forget about that. So one of those things that was mentioned was the split function defined benefit, where you can actually add stocks into that. And I think that that's important to look at, to know, to experience, because there are a lot of employers who may not have the what you call it, the funds to really deal with a lot of the administration of your traditional 401k, right? Most companies definitely don't have a valuation of 10 million or more, which would, in the eyes of the IRS, make you a large business. And then you don't have it to fund or pay for an ESOP. The 401k, yeah, it's great for your employees in a sense. It's really great for the federal government, but for you as the employer, what happens to you when you want to retire? If you make 200,000 and you can only take, a smaller percentage, or up to 80%, yeah, maybe that's good, but maybe not, because it doesn't give you the ability to catch up and save. Whereas now your employee can actually have more in retirement than you can. So that's going to be it for today, folks. Make sure y'all hit that like, drop a comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're made aware every time I release new content. And as always, share, share, share. Lastly, to contribute to channel growth or to schedule an appointment with a licensed financial professional, the links are in the description of this video. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. Wipe ass. Work in progress every day and see success. And remember, folks, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.